Yo, what you're saying. So, I've got an analogy here about quitting porn, which I think will really help you because a lot of people get quitting porn and nofap and all this shit completely false, completely wrong. So, a lot of people see nofap as this marathon. So, let me draw like a road. So, it's like a track. A lot of people see nofap as a marathon, and at the start of this track, essentially, is nofap. So, they get onto nofap. Yay, I'm on nofap, guys. No more porn. And then, so PMO. So essentially, what they're doing is they're on NoFap and they're trying to run away from PMO. That's what they're doing. They're running away from PMO, from porn, masturbation, orgasm, and its negative consequences, right? And by running the marathon, your goal is essentially to run away from PMO, be on NoFap, and gain freedom. Gain freedom. Eventually, not crave it anymore. It's just not a part of your life. That's essentially what you've been told is at the end of this marathon. So let's just imagine that at the end of the marathon, there's this big miracle quit for good, right? That's the end of the marathon. So what you do is you get onto this marathon, you get onto NoFap, and you start running, and you start feeling quite good. Let's draw someone running here. You get onto NoFap, and yeah, you start feeling quite good about yourself. You feel quite confident. You feel ready to finally get rid of this addiction for good. Get rid of PMO, run away from it, and it will all end. But then down the line, it gets kind of tough. It gets quite difficult. You weren't really prepared for this, and just one little peek, and boom, you're out the race. You relapsed. But you believe that the more you do this, the better you'll get it. So you go again, and you keep running, and maybe you go a bit longer this time. Maybe you go a week, 2 weeks, and then you relapse again. But again, you have this mindset of, oh no, but the more that I do this, the better I'll get it, and the more that I'll be able to endure, the longer that I'll be able to go, the closer that I'll get towards my goal of quitting for good, right? So you keep doing that. You keep leaving the race and then going back because you keep going, having these like longer streaks, no fap streaks. You have, first it's 7 days, then it's 14, then it's 25, then it's 30, then it's 70 or some shit. You keep going and you keep leaving the race and keep re entering, hoping to get closer to this end goal here where you finally quit for good and it's out of your life. But the problem is that this marathon of nofap, it has no end. Is there a rubber that you can do here? I don't even know. Anyway, I'll just do a big cross. There's no end. There is actually no end to nofap. You believe that the end is, you don't get cravings anymore, right? You don't watch it for good. It's over. You go long enough in the marathon, eventually you'll never watch it again. Never watch porn again. But the problem is that this marathon, and as long as you are on nofap, it's infinite. It never ends. As long as you are on nofap, the only way to leave nofap and to exit nofap is by relapsing. It's by failing. It's by exiting this marathon. That's the only way, right? That's the only way. As soon as you're on nofap, the only way to come off nofap is by relapsing. It's by failing. Because nofap, the definition of nofap is to be on this thing, be on this mission where you no longer watch porn anymore. But if we actually think about it, this is extremely, it's silly. Because again, the illusion is that there's this end reward eventually down the line of this marathon where eventually you quit for good, and you're trapped in this marathon on nofap. And again, if you leave the race, you relapse. You go back to the start and you go again. And you keep doing this over and over again. It's just a repeating cycle. So how do we solve this? How do we actually quit if this is infinite? And how do we get to a point where we can, exit nofap by not having to relapse or anything like that? It's pretty simple. You just don't get onto nofap in the first place. You never run this marathon. Instead, you walk away. So there's a little path down here on the side. right? And this is you, right? So instead, you just walk away. You never entered the marathon in the first place. Because here's the thing about NoFap and PMO that people get wrong. NoFap, quitting porn, PMO, it's not I keep swearing. It's not something that you get on. It's not something that you get onto or do. Because someone who doesn't PMO, right, who doesn't watch porn, and who just walks away, they would look at you doing this marathon and running down this track to no end and just constantly doing the same thing over and over again. And just think to himself, what the fuck is this guy doing? What a waste of time. This guy's making this whole thing like a defining part of his life. Being on NoFap is like his life. It's part of who he is. Being on NoFap is part of his life. What this guy's done is he hasn't made it part of his life. Has he watched porn in the past? Yeah. But instead of making it a part of his life and running this constant marathon and then relapsing and going back to the start and doing that over and over again, is he just walked away. He just left it behind because this was part of his past self. It's not a part of him now. He doesn't make it part of him now. The guy on NoFap does, but this guy just walks away. He just says, no, porn, it's not a part of my life anymore. It's not who I am. I don't watch it. Because he understands something. And he understands that porn in the first place, it has no benefits. There's no benefits to watching porn, right? You should understand this by now. There's nothing beneficial that comes from watching porn. If you thought there was, you wouldn't be watching this video. And so he knows that by leaving it behind and just by walking away, he's not sacrificing anything. He's only reclaiming his mental health, his focus, his energy, his happiness. And he takes these areas of improvement into his life that he's reclaimed by not watching porn anymore. And he just lives his life like a normal human being. Do you think 100 years ago people were like, "Oh yeah, bro, I don't masturbate anymore. Oh, I'm on no masturbation, bro." They're just like, "Nah, yeah, I just don't do it." So he just lives his life, knowing that this is a part. It's just part of his past self, but he's a new person now, and he doesn't watch it. He doesn't watch porn. Simple. So don't make the mistake, because most people, they make this marathon of NoFap like a defining part of their lives. But how about you just be this guy here and you just leave it behind? How about you just accept that this was part of the past you, something that you did before, but now you've just let it go and now you're actually living your life and moving on to doing bigger and better things with your time and your energy and your focus, rather than thinking about, oh, I'm on day 17 of NoFap, guys. Just focus on what actually matters. And, you know, one of these things might be running an actual marathon. Oh, what the fuck? One of these things might be, I can't draw it, but one of these things might be running an actual marathon where you get the medal, you get the reward and everything, because there is an endpoint. But in the marathon of NoFap, there is no endpoint. So instead of running this marathon, which is just pure pain for no reason, just pure suffering, just walk away and live your life. So I hope this helps. Thank you for watching, boys. Stay focused.